Hello, I'm Alasdair Macleod and I'm here on behalf of GoldMoney Foundation, the GoldMoney Foundation, and I have with me, I'm delighted to say, Gerald Celente, who is very well known to audiences of television, radio and all around the world. Gerald, thank you very much indeed for joining me.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Alasdair.
Gerald produces the Trends Journal, which is very widely read and very much respected. And you've had some amazing calls, I think, over the years, which have been very, very accurate. You're certainly lauded by people who know what you do. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you actually cover when it comes to trends?
We cover the world. The system that I developed in 1980, I call it globalnomic. I realized that economists were only looking at economic data. Politicians and political scientists, they get only wrapped up in the political realm. And sociologists only start looking at the things that they're interested within a society.
And of course we're all interlinked, aren't we, which is the bit that gets missed.
Exactly.
Guess,
all
yes.
things are connected, like the blood which unites us all,
Yeah.
as Chief Seattle said. So the system that I developed was making connections between different fields.
Right.
And that current events form future trends. So
And haven't we got some current events?
exactly.
And in terms of future trends, I mean, what do you see, or is this too frightening for us?
Oh no, it's not frightening at all. This scholar, von Schiller, said, "In today already walks tomorrow."
Indeed, yes.
But as people are viewing current events, they're viewing them through the ideology, most of them, through what they believe, what they want, what they hope, wish for,
Yes.
need. I look at it as a political atheist. I have no skin in this game.
Right. Because you have experience of politics from your past.
I do.
You've been in the system.
I
so
was in the system.
so-
I used to run political campaigns in Westchester County in New York.
Right.
And I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate.
Yes.
And I was also, I taught at St. John's University, American Politics and Campaign Technology. And
Yeah.
I used to put together political action committees in D.C.
Right.
for the chemical industry, Lonza, Roman Haas, DuPont, Union Carbide.
Right. So you're a little bit of poacher turning gamekeeper in a sense.
Well,
are
I
you?
was learning the field, learning the trade.
Good.
And that's why I'm able to see things the way I see
Yes.
them, because I've been on the sides and seeing what's happening.
Yes.
One of my wonderful stories is after I came out with a book, Trend Tracking. And I wrote that in 1988. And at that time, I predicted that there would be a new third party. And for some reason, in 1988, I mentioned Ross Perot's name. And I got a call one night in 1992.
Yes.
And John Connally, who was the governor of Texas, who was the man that sat in front of JFK when he was assassinated in Daley Plaza
Yeah.
in Dallas, wanted to meet me. And I had an engagement for a talk, and I broke it to go meet with John Connally. And it was his first time back. We went to the book depository. I have a photograph of me, him, and his wife, Nellie.
Mm.
And the window that Lee Harvey Oswald ostensibly shot Kennedy from.
Yes.
Now remember, Connally is the guy sitting in front of Kennedy that took the bullet in the back. And he told the story of what happened that day as we were parked out in front. And that window that you see, that's the side of the building. We were out in the front. And he began the story by saying, "I heard a gunshot." He said, "I know it was a gunshot because I've been hunting since I'm a little boy."
Yes.
He said, "I looked over to my right and I didn't see anything." We don't have to say he was wearing, I'll never forget, I was wearing a dark blue suit that day and I was all scrunched up. In those days, they had those jump seats that used to come down
Yes.
in those big Cadillacs.
Yeah.
And I was scrunched up holding a Stetson hat in my hand, in my knee. And I looked over to my left, and there were brains on my shoulder. He said, "I know there were brains because my daddy was a butcher." So this is my conversation with Connally, and I'm looking across from him, and I realized he was a dying man. And I knew that because my dear father, may his soul rest in peace, died from asbestos poisoning from working in the shipyards during the World War II. And Connally, remember, got the gunshot wound through his back. And now he had a pulmonary condition that was flaring up, and they had him on heavy doses of cortisone and prednisone. And I could see those purple splotches that were forming in his hands that my father had, and I could see his gait stiffening up. And we're talking, and then we went outside, and I was with 3 other people. And we're going back into the Anatole Hotel. And he looks at me as we're walking in, and he said, "I read your book." He said, "It was a fine piece of work." He said, "But you don't have a clue of what's going on. And neither do the American people. Because if they did, there'd be a revolution in this country." Now, this is coming from John Connally.
Yes, right from the top.
Right, not only from the top when he was governor of Texas, he was also the Treasury Secretary under Nixon.
Yes, yes.
At the time when gold was taken off the standard by the United States.
Yes, yep.
And this is Connally telling me, you know, this guy from the Bronx that ends up down there with him. And that's what's going on across the board. So, yes, I've had experience in politics. I look what's going on economically and socially. And I look at the whole world. And right now, as I look at the whole world, I am totally fascinated at the amount of denial running through people's veins. We just saw this past winter, in December of 2010, the Tunisian uprising. Then we saw it in Egypt.
In Cairo, yes.
And then we see it in Bahrain.
Yep.
We see it in Yemen. It's happening again
everywhere.
in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly, yes.
It's over in Syria. You see it in Morocco. They're raging in the streets in Greece. You just saw it this summer in the UK.
Yeah.
You have it in Italy. It's right here in the USA now with these Occupy Wall Streets happening in 1,700 cities worldwide in 80 countries.
Yes, yes. And of course, I think you made the point very well earlier that it's no accident that is happening in America, it's happening in Europe, it's happening in the Arabian states. I mean, it's happening everywhere, isn't it? It's a sort of a mass move in a sense.
It's a mass move. As a Bronx boy, originally, my saying is when people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it.
Yes, yes.
And that's what these people, the Exeter and the Cambridge and Eton boys, they don't get it.
No, no.
Because they've never been there.
That's true.
When they fall, there's always somebody to pick them up.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
When you fall and you're just one of us, and you're too small to save,